Lorraine Day. Lorraine Day wasn't just another Hollywood starlet. She was a woman of conviction in an industry that often demanded compromise. Born in Utah in the early 1920s, she was raised in a devout Mormon household, a foundation that shaped her choices both on and off the screen. As she rose to fame in the 1940s, she remained steadfast in her beliefs, turning down roles that clashed with her values. While many in Hollywood chased fame at any cost, Day prioritized faith over fortune, a rare stance in an era of studio-controlled careers. Her marriage to baseball manager Leo DeRocher in 1948 sparked controversy within the LDS community, as he was not Mormon. The relationship made headlines not just for its glamour, but for the tension it created between her personal life and religious identity. Still, Day never wavered in her devotion. She even hosted a Mormon radio program, using her platform to spread the teachings of her faith. Later in life, she helped establish the Polynesian Cultural Center in Hawaii, further cementing her dedication to the LDS Church. In an industry known for reinvention, Lorraine Day remained resolutely herself, a testament to unwavering faith in the face of Hollywood's ever-changing tides. Gordon Jump. Gordon Jump may not have been a household name like some of his contemporaries, but his presence on television was unmistakable. Born in Ohio in the early 1930s, Jump's life took a pivotal turn when he converted to Mormonism as a young man. This decision would shape not only his personal values, but also his approach to Hollywood, a town known for testing even the strongest convictions. Best remembered as Arthur Carlson, the bumbling yet well-meaning station manager on WKRP in Cincinnati, Jump brought warmth and authenticity to every role he played. But behind the scenes, it was his faith that kept him grounded. While many actors struggled with the pressures of fame, Jump remained steadfast in his beliefs, actively participating in the LDS Church, and even taking on leadership roles within his congregation. His deep commitment to his faith extended beyond his personal life. He frequently lent his talents to Mormon-themed productions, starring in church-sponsored films and educational videos that reinforced his values. In an industry where compromise is often the price of success, Jump proved that faith and Hollywood could coexist. He never shied away from his convictions, demonstrating that integrity and career longevity weren't mutually exclusive. Even as the entertainment world evolved, his legacy endured, not just as a beloved television figure, but as a man who stayed true to himself in an industry that often demands otherwise. Marie Windsor. Marie Windsor was the kind of actress who could make a man weak in the knees with just a glance, on screen at least. Dubbed the Queen of the Bees for her unforgettable roles in film noir and westerns, Windsor exuded danger and allure. But off-camera, she was a woman shaped by the quiet, steady influence of her Mormon upbringing. Born in the early 20th century in Utah, she was raised in a strict LDS household, where faith and discipline were paramount. That foundation never wavered, even as she carved out a career playing femme fatales who were anything but pious. Despite the contrast between her on-screen persona and her personal values, Windsor often spoke about how her faith gave her strength in Hollywood's male-dominated world. She wasn't just a believer in private. She was deeply involved in the LDS Church, participating in community outreach and charity work. For Windsor, faith wasn't just a comfort, it was a compass, guiding her through the challenges of an industry that often demanded compromise. Even as audiences watched her play ruthless women who manipulated and deceived, those who knew her best saw a woman whose real-life values remained unshaken. She might have been the queen of the B-movies, but in her heart she never forgot where she came from. Dale Van Sickle. Dale Van Sickle wasn't just a stuntman. He was a pioneer, a daredevil with a cause. Born in the early 1900s and raised in a devout Mormon family in Florida, Van Sickle's faith instilled in him a discipline that would later define his career. Hollywood's golden age was built on spectacle, and Van Sickle was one of the unsung architects of its most breathtaking moments. From high-speed car crashes to brutal fistfights, he put his body on the line for some of the biggest films of the 30s through the 60s. But despite the inherent danger of his work, he remained steadfast in his faith, crediting his Mormon upbringing for keeping him humble and focused in an industry that often glorified excess. His dedication went beyond the stunts. He was one of the founding members of the Stuntmen's Association of Motion Pictures, a group that fought to bring safety and recognition to the daredevils who risked everything for the magic of the movies. Van Sickle's legacy is twofold. He was both a fearless performer and a quiet advocate for the people behind the action. While his name may not be as well known as the stars he doubled for, his influence on Hollywood's stunt community is undeniable. And through it all, he carried the values of his faith, proving that even in the most high-risk profession, discipline and devotion could coexist. Dean Jagger. Dean Jagger's journey from Hollywood royalty to devout faith is one of quiet conviction. Born in the early 1900s, Jagger wasn't raised in the Mormon faith, but his path shifted dramatically after he married a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It wasn't just a surface-level conversion. Jagger took his faith seriously, immersing himself in its teachings and becoming an active participant in the community. Unlike many of his contemporaries who were swept up in the excesses of Hollywood's golden era, Jagger found solace in something deeper. Even after winning an Academy Award for his gripping performance in 12 O'Clock High, he prioritized spiritual growth over the temptations of the industry. He often spoke at Mormon gatherings, sharing how the faith reshaped his worldview, grounding him in values that transcended fame. His story isn't just one of success but of transformation, a reminder that even in the glitz of Hollywood, faith can carve out its own lasting legacy. Merlin Olsen. Merlin Olsen was more than just a football legend. He was a man whose faith never wavered, no matter how bright the lights of fame shone. Born in the early 1940s in Utah, he was raised in a devout Mormon household, where discipline and integrity were ingrained in him from a young age. That foundation carried him through an extraordinary career in the National Football League, where he became one of the most dominant defensive linemen of his era, a Hall of Famer, a member of the famed fearsome foursome of the Los Angeles Rams, and later a beloved broadcaster. Olsen's success never pulled him away from his spiritual roots. He often spoke about how his faith helped him stay grounded in the hyper-competitive world of professional sports, where temptation and excess were the norm. Even as he transitioned into acting, starring in Little House on the Prairie and Father Murphy, he remained steadfast in his beliefs, proving that faith and fame could coexist. Olsen's life was a testament to balance between sports, entertainment, and his unwavering Mormon values. He never let the spotlight dim his devotion, making him not just a star on the field, but a role model off it. Philo Farnsworth. Philo Farnsworth was just a teenager when he first envisioned the concept of electronic television, sketching out his ideas on a school blackboard for his science teacher. Born in the early 1900s in rural Utah, Farnsworth was raised in a devout Mormon household, where faith and perseverance were ingrained in his upbringing. This foundation would prove essential as he embarked on one of the most revolutionary technological pursuits of the 20th century. Unlike his competitors, who were still focused on mechanical television, Farnsworth pursued an all-electronic system, a vision that would ultimately change entertainment forever. His breakthrough came in the late 1920s when he successfully transmitted the first electronic television image, a simple straight line. But his journey was far from easy. Legal battles with corporate giants like RCA threatened to overshadow his achievements, yet Farnsworth remained steadfast, often turning to his faith for strength. His wife, Elma, played a crucial role in his success, not only as a supportive partner, but also as an active participant in his research. Despite the challenges, Farnsworth's work laid the foundation for modern television, and his legacy remains intertwined with his deep-rooted Mormon values. Today, his contributions are widely recognized, though for much of his life he struggled for the credit he deserved. Still, his perseverance, fueled by his faith, ensured that his impact on the world would never be forgotten. Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes was a man of paradoxes, an aviation tycoon, a Hollywood mogul, and a recluse who spent his final years in near-total isolation. But beneath the layers of wealth and eccentricity lay a lesser-known truth. Hughes had deep Mormon lineage through his mother's side. His early years were shaped by the discipline and moral values instilled by his devout relatives, a stark contrast to the wild, risk-taking persona he later embodied. As he built his empire, his business dealings often clashed with the conservative teachings of his family's faith. Yet in his later years, Hughes surrounded himself with Mormon aides and nurses, relying on them for care and companionship. Whether this was a reflection of his upbringing or a calculated choice remains a mystery. He never publicly embraced the faith, but the presence of LDS members in his final days suggests that, despite his extravagant and often reckless life, the moral framework of his youth never entirely left him. It's a fascinating contradiction, one of the many that defined Howard Hughes. Maynard Dixon. Maynard Dixon was born in the late 1800s, deep in the heart of Utah, where the vast, untamed landscapes mirrored the pioneering spirit of his Mormon ancestors. Raised in a devout household, he was steeped in the faith's traditions, but it was the sweeping horizons of the American West that truly captured his imagination. From an early age, Dixon sketched the rugged beauty of the land around him, translating his heritage into bold, evocative brushstrokes. His work wasn't just about scenery, it was about survival, faith, and the unbreakable will of those who carved out lives in an unforgiving wilderness. Even as he drifted from organized religion, those themes never left his art. His paintings, stark and powerful, told the story of a people who endured, guided by something greater than themselves. His marriage to photographer Dorothea Lange brought him into artistic circles that challenged his early beliefs, but instead of abandoning his roots, he transformed them. The faith of his youth became something deeper, more personal, woven into every stroke of his brush. Today, Dixon's legacy stands as one of the most authentic visual records of the American West, a testament to the enduring influence of his Mormon upbringing and the landscapes that shaped his soul. Earl Warren. Earl Warren's name is etched into the annals of American history as the Chief Justice who reshaped the nation's legal landscape. But what many don't know is that Warren had deep Mormon ancestry through his mother's side. Born in 1891, he wasn't a practicing member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but the values instilled in him from an early age, fairness, integrity, and a strong moral compass, would come to define his career. As the governor of California, Warren worked closely with Mormon leaders on key social and political issues, forging bonds that reflected his respect for the faith's emphasis on community and justice. His tenure as Chief Justice saw some of the most transformative rulings in American history, including the landmark Brown v. the Board of Education decision in 1954, which dismantled racial segregation in schools. He famously declared, "Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal," a statement that carried the weight of both legal precedent and moral conviction. Though he faced intense backlash for his progressive rulings, Warren remained steadfast, embodying the resilience and ethical fortitude that many saw as a reflection of his Mormon heritage. His legacy endures, not just as a legal giant, but as a man whose roots in a faith centered on justice and equality helped shape the course of American history. George Romney. Born in the early 1900s into a devout Mormon family, George Romney's faith wasn't just a personal belief, it was the foundation of everything he did. Whether in business or politics, Romney carried the principles of service, integrity, and community with him. As the CEO of American Motors, he revolutionized the auto industry with a focus on ethical leadership, often citing his faith as his moral compass. But it was in politics where his convictions truly shined. As governor of Michigan in the 1960s, he championed civil rights and social reform, standing firm even when it was unpopular. His presidential run in 1968 was driven by a belief in moral leadership, though his honesty, especially about the Vietnam War, cost him politically. Still, his legacy is undeniable. His unwavering commitment to his faith shaped not only his career, but also the political landscape of his time, leaving an impact that extended far beyond his own ambitions. Frank Borzage. Frank Borzage was a man who believed in love. Not just the kind that sweeps across the screen in grand gestures, but the kind that endures, redeems, and transcends. Born in 1894 to a devout Mormon family, Borzage carried his faith into Hollywood, a place where belief was often tested. His films like Seventh Heaven and Street Angel weren't just romances, they were spiritual journeys where love was a force as powerful as destiny itself. At a time when Hollywood was becoming increasingly secular, Borzage's work stood out. He didn't just tell love stories, he told stories of faith, of people finding salvation in each other, of devotion that defied war, poverty, and even death. His Mormon upbringing instilled in him a belief in the unseen, in the idea that love and faith could move mountains, and that belief shaped every frame of his films. Winning 2 Academy Awards for Best Director, he proved that artistic brilliance and deep-rooted faith weren't mutually exclusive. Even in an industry that often prioritized spectacle over sincerity, Borzage remained true to his vision, crafting films that felt like prayers in motion. Today, his legacy isn't just in the awards or the accolades, it's in the way his films continue to stir something deep in the soul, a testament to the values he carried from his Mormon roots into the heart of Hollywood. Sterling W. Sill. Sterling W. Sill wasn't your typical mid-century thought leader. He was a force of nature in the world of faith-driven success. Born in the early 1900s, Sill grew up immersed in the values of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he carried those principles into every aspect of his life. By the mid-20th century, his name was synonymous with personal development and leadership, not just within the Mormon community, but across the nation. His books weren't just about faith, they were blueprints for success, blending spiritual wisdom with practical strategies that resonated with business executives, politicians, and everyday people looking for guidance. But Sill didn't stop at the written word. He took to the airwaves, hosting radio programs that combined motivational speaking with Mormon principles, making his teachings accessible to an even wider audience. His voice became a beacon for those striving for self-improvement, and his influence extended far beyond the pulpit. He had a way of making faith feel like a powerful tool for ambition rather than just a moral compass. Even today, his legacy endures, as his books and speeches continue to inspire those seeking a path to success rooted in faith and discipline. Sterling W. Sill wasn't just a leader, he was a movement, proving that spiritual conviction and worldly achievement could go hand in hand. Harmon Killebrew. Harmon Killebrew wasn't just a baseball legend, he was a man of deep conviction. Born in the mid-1930s in the quiet town of Payette, Idaho, Killebrew was raised in a devout Mormon household where discipline, integrity, and faith were non-negotiable. These values shaped him long before he ever stepped onto a major league diamond. By the time he became one of baseball's most feared sluggers, belting over 500 home runs, his reputation wasn't just about power, it was about character. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Killebrew never let the spotlight change him. He refused to argue with umpires, a rarity in a sport where tempers often flared. His composure wasn't just good sportsmanship, it was a reflection of his faith. Even after retiring from baseball, he remained deeply involved in the LDS Church, mentoring young athletes and speaking at faith-based events. His legacy wasn't just in the record books, it was in the lives he touched, proving that faith and fame could coexist without compromise. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our new videos each week. Thanks for watching.